Ernest has gone to camp, gone to jail, even saved Christmas. And while this Ernest is different, can he save the Presleys and Netflix's We Have a Ghost? The new comedic mystery features David Harbour, Anthony Mackie, Tig Notaro, and Jennifer Coolidge, so it's already looking like a winner. Finding a ghost named Ernest haunting their new home turns Kevin's family into overnight social media sensations. But when Kevin and Ernest go rogue to investigate the mystery of Ernest's past, they become the target of the CIA. Christopher Landon, who brought us the horror comedy Happy Death Day and its sequel, along with the Vince Vaughn body swap slasher Freaky, has now returned with a thriller-ish movie for Netflix. Now, I say thriller-ish because while there are some times when the content gets exciting and tense, the majority of this film actually has a ton of emotional heart. A family moves into a home where a ghost is hanging out, and when the youngest son, Kevin, doesn't get scared by Ernest the ghost, he tries to understand more about the apparition. Ernest is played by David Harbour, and I think he utters one line in the entire movie. Now, he mouths other lines and makes some oogly-googly noises, but the majority of this role relies on his ability to emote with his eyes, face, and body language. And he did an amazing job. While I was never scared or even creeped out by Ernest, he is instantly endearing and charming, even when he's trying to be menacing. Harbour's excellent at creating a literal lost soul, somebody who's grieving and haunted in their own right, creating a mystery for the story that Kevin then tries to solve. Kevin is played by Jahai Winston, and this dude is incredibly charismatic and just wonderful to watch on screen. He also has some singing parts, and if that is his real voice, oh, he's great at that too. Now, Winston gives Kevin a slightly snarky persona, but not overly so. He's more calm, practical, and even respectful with a lot of his responses. But when sarcasm is called for, he can deliver. Now, his dynamic with Harbour is awesome to experience because they have good timing and they build something together that was believable and sweet, and also cheer-worthy. Now, I loved seeing their friendship grow, and it turns into something very special and touching. Tig Notaro and Anthony Mackie also star in this, and they both bring a fun element to the story, as they both can be seen as antagonists, even though they approach the situations from polar opposite locations and mentalities. Notaro is less sarcastic than she normally is on screen, and for her very limited screen time, she's fun to watch. I do think there's more development that could have been included on her to just better understand her motivations and drive, and even her strained relationship with the CIA. But we get the gist of what she's about, so she's not an absolute stranger to us. Mackie's a different sort of antagonist, where he is the father of Kevin, and they don't typically see eye to eye. Now, Mackie's character has a past, and while some of it is touched on, there appears to be some huge reasons why the family is experiencing some relational tension. Now, I don't think we needed a ton of exposition or even flashbacks to what Mackie's contribution to the negative feelings are. I would have liked just a little bit more background so that we could really get a good understanding of why the family dynamics are the way they are. I do appreciate, though, that we get to see growth from Mackie's character. He's not static, even though he appears to be for a large majority of the film. He's also got a bit of a schemer or Arrested Development personality, and it's nice to see him progress beyond that into somebody that we can enjoy. Now, I'd mentioned that Jennifer Coolidge is in this, and she's got just one small scene. And it's not necessary at all, but it does add a little bit of fun. She gets to be very expressive in her emotions, which then work in tandem with Harbour's performance during the scene. There's some chaos, and while the sequence didn't make me just laugh out loud with a belly laugh, I did chuckle at some of the ridiculousness that was going on. And I think that the comedy in this is good, but it's not phenomenal. I mean, it's not doubling me over with laughs, but I was amused and entertained through most of it. And to combine with the comedic aspect, there's a mystery surrounding Ernest and why he's at the house that the family moves into. I was really hooked on what the backstory was for Ernest, and I enjoyed how the investigation unfurled. I don't think it's terribly groundbreaking or overly clever, but the intrigue was maintained for me through the reveal, and then the justification and explanation for everything that went on, it made sense and it worked. The movie is a bit longer than you might expect it to be at just a little bit over 2 hours, but I didn't feel the time. I mean, yeah, there are some parts that were less exciting than others, but on the whole, the movie balances out the drama, mystery, action, and comedy. And for the action, there are some wonderful sequences that are very engaging and thrilling. There's a fight scene that feels like a one-shot sequence where the camera follows characters as a battle moves from person to person. Now the camera will then whip around and then follow a new character, only to then swoop over and catch some action that's happening in a different area of the screen. It feels seamless, and it adds a bunch of impressive visual interest. There's also a huge car chase scene that also involves Ernest. Let's just say they get very creative with what a ghost can do during a high-speed pursuit. Now, I was on the edge of my seat watching all of the fun take place, and I loved how the camera was used to put us right into the action so we can feel the energy of the car fishtailing along a road. The special effects that are used to make Harbor's Ernest ghostly they're really impressive. I mean, as a function of the story, sometimes he can interact with physical objects, so that makes it a lot more fun as he manipulates the environment around him. He's also got a spectral look to him, which is consistently maintained throughout the entire movie, whether he's just standing or floating in a location, or if he's wreaking havoc and bouncing around all throughout the scenery. So all in all, We Have a Ghost is a thrilling mystery with a surprising amount of heart, thanks to the performances of Jahai Winston and David Harbour. The comedic aspects work, but aren't the driving force behind the appeal of the story. That sits with the mystery and the heartfelt interactions of the characters. And while some of the characters and scenes aren't as necessary as they could be, the action is awesome and it helps propel the narrative, which is then supported by wonderful looking special effects. If you're looking for something fun to binge that will also touch your heart, take a look at We Have a Ghost. I think it's definitely worth the watch. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and some violence. I give We Have a Ghost 4 out of 5 couches. So what have you been watching lately? Anything that you can recommend me? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.